The ancient signal. The wind howled across Iceland's volcanic landscape as Dr. Marcus Blackwood adjusted his quantum resonance scanner. Snow stung his face while the device's screen pulsed with readings that shouldn't exist. Not here. Not anywhere on Earth. "This can't be right," he muttered, tapping the screen. The energy signature penetrated deep beneath the ancient lava fields, a pattern so precise it had to be artificial. Yet it predated human civilization by thousands of years. His research partner, Jun Nakamura, peered over his shoulder at the readings. "Those patterns, they're identical to the ones we found in Peru and Egypt." The young physicist's eyes widened behind his protective goggles. "But much stronger." Marcus nodded, his beard already frosting over in the brutal cold. At 45, he'd spent his career pioneering the field of quantum archaeology, using cutting-edge physics to study ancient sites. What began as a fringe science had led to increasingly bizarre discoveries, but nothing like this. "The signal's getting stronger," Jun said, checking his own instruments. "Whatever's down there, it's waking up." The ground trembled beneath their feet. At first, Marcus thought it was another volcanic tremor common in this region. But the vibration had a rhythm, like massive machinery spinning to life. A circle of black stone 30 feet across began to glow with lines of blue light, forming intricate geometric patterns. "Jun, are you recording this?" Marcus called out, but his partner was already capturing everything with multiple cameras. The patterns shifted, rearranging themselves into spirals of illuminated symbols unlike any known language. Yet something about them tugged at Marcus's mind, as if they were meant to be read not with the eyes, but with something deeper. A grinding sound echoed from below, and the circle of stone began to sink, forming a spiral staircase into the earth. Warm air rushed up from the opening, carrying a scent like ozone and something sweeter, almost like jasmine. "We should call this in," Jun said, already reaching for his satellite phone. "Get a full team out here." Marcus grabbed his arm. "Wait, look at the energy readings. They're fluctuating. If we wait, we might lose our chance." He began pulling equipment from his pack, lights, sensors, and emergency gear. "Whatever's down there has been waiting for thousands of years. I'm not letting bureaucracy keep me from the discovery of the century." Jun hesitated, then began gathering his own gear. "The university's going to kill us." "Only if we survive," Marcus grinned, securing his helmet camera. The staircase descended in a perfect spiral, the walls smooth as glass and covered in the same illuminated symbols. Their lights were barely needed. The blue glow from the patterns provided ample illumination. The air grew warmer as they descended, and Marcus's instruments showed increasingly intense energy readings. After descending nearly 200 feet, the staircase opened into a vast chamber that defied explanation. The circular room was at least 50 meters across, its domed ceiling disappearing into darkness above. But it was the structure at the center that stopped them cold. A crystalline pod, 20 feet tall, stood on a raised platform. Inside, suspended in a luminescent liquid, floated a humanoid figure. The being's skin had a pale, iridescent quality, shifting colors like the aurora borealis. Long, silver hair floated around a face that seemed both alien and hauntingly beautiful. "It's some kind of stasis chamber," Jun whispered, his scientific detachment warring with awe. "The power requirements for something like this. It's beyond anything we can achieve." Marcus approached the pod, his instruments going haywire. The liquid inside began to pulse with light in rhythm with his footsteps. As he drew closer, he could see the figure more clearly, feminine in form, but with features that suggested an evolution far different from human. Her closed eyes had an upward slant, and subtle ridges along her temples suggested an enlarged brain structure. "The pod's responding to your presence," Jun called out, monitoring his devices. "The energy patterns are shifting. Wait, Marcus, don't." But Marcus had already placed his hand on the pod's surface. The crystal was warm to the touch and seemed to vibrate beneath his palm. The symbols around the chamber blazed brighter, and the liquid inside the pod began to drain away through invisible channels. The being's eyes snapped open, revealing irises that swirled with colors like distant galaxies. Her mouth opened in a silent gasp as the pod's front panel dissolved into mist. Marcus stumbled backward as she stepped out, moving with impossible grace despite having been suspended for millennia. She stood nearly 7 feet tall, her iridescent skin now shifting through shades of blue and violet. When she spoke, her voice resonated not just in his ears but in his mind. After so long, a compatible one has come. She focused those cosmic eyes on Marcus. I am Naira, last watcher of the Pleiadian Covenant, and you, Marcus Blackwood, have awakened me for a purpose far greater than you can imagine. Before Marcus could respond, alarms blared from their equipment. Jun's voice shook as he read the displays. Multiple vehicles approaching on the surface, military grade, they're right above us. Naira's expression hardened. The Seekers, they have sensed my awakening. She extended her hand toward Marcus. You must choose quickly, Awakener. Stay and face them alone, or come with me and learn why your world needs us now more than ever. Marcus stared at her offered hand, his entire scientific worldview shattering and reforming in an instant. Above, he could hear the whine of helicopters and the thud of boots on frozen ground. Everything he knew, everything he believed, balanced on this moment of choice. He took her hand. Her skin felt like silk over steel, and at the moment of contact, his consciousness exploded. Images flooded his mind, distant stars, ancient wars, and a darkness approaching Earth that humanity couldn't face alone. Their fingers intertwined, and Marcus felt power surge through him, transforming him in ways he couldn't comprehend. Hold tight, Naira smiled, pulling him close as energy began to swirl around them. Your real education is about to begin. Jun shouted something, but his voice was lost in the rush of power as Marcus's world dissolved into light. His last thought before the transformation took him was that he'd finally found what he'd spent his life searching for, proof that humanity was not alone in the universe. What he hadn't expected was that this proof would change not just his understanding of the cosmos, but the very nature of his own existence. The chamber erupted with blinding light just as the first soldiers breached the entrance, and humanity's next chapter began to unfold. Awakening and connection. Reality reassembled itself around Marcus like shattered glass reforming into a new pattern. The icy chamber beneath Iceland had vanished, replaced by a vast cavern of luminescent crystal. His body tingled with residual energy from their teleportation, every nerve ending alive with sensations he'd never experienced before. Where are we? He gasped, steadying himself against a crystalline wall that hummed beneath his touch. The cavern stretched away into darkness, its ceiling lost in shadows pierced by streams of pale blue light. Sanctuary, Naira replied, her iridescent skin pulsing with subtle patterns of light. One of many hidden places my people created beneath Earth's surface. She moved with liquid grace toward a central platform, her feet barely seeming to touch the ground. The humans hunting us won't find us here. The crystalline matrix blocks their detection methods. Marcus followed, his scientist's mind racing to categorize everything he saw. The technology around them defied physics as he understood it. Geometric structures floated in midair, rotating slowly and emanating fields of energy he could somehow sense. More surprisingly, he could feel Naira's presence in his mind, not just her thoughts, but her emotions, her memories, her very essence. The connection between us, he said, touching his temple, it's growing stronger. Naira turned to face him, her cosmic eyes swirling with colors. The bond was initiated the moment you touched my stasis pod. Your genetic structure, your quantum resonance, they're compatible with my species in a way we've seen only once before in Earth's history. A holographic display materialized between them, showing a three-dimensional map of Earth with points of light scattered across every continent. There are others like you, Marcus. Humans whose DNA carries echoes of ancient interactions with my people. The Seekers hunt them too, though they don't know why. And who are the Seekers? Marcus asked, watching as one of the lights on the map winked out. Some kind of government organization. Something far older. Naira's expression darkened. They've existed in secret for millennia, dedicated to suppressing evidence of extraterrestrial contact. They believe they're protecting humanity, but their actions serve a darker purpose they don't even understand. She waved her hand, and the hologram shifted to show a spiral galaxy. My people, the Pleiadians, have watched over Earth since your species first showed signs of developing consciousness. We knew you had potential, but you also carried within you something ancient and dangerous, a legacy of genetic manipulation by beings we called the Void Shapers. Marcus felt a chill despite the cavern's warmth. Through their connection, he caught glimpses of ancient battles among the stars, of worlds destroyed and civilizations lost. What did these Void Shapers want? To create weapons, Naira said simply. Living weapons that could harness the fundamental forces of reality. Humanity was one of their experiments, abandoned but not destroyed. The potential still lies dormant in your DNA. A distant rumbling interrupted them. Naira's head snapped up, her silver hair floating as if in an unseen breeze. They're using quantum resonance scanners to search the area, crude copies of Pleiadian technology, but effective enough to be dangerous. Jun, Marcus suddenly remembered. My partner, they'll question him. Your friend is safe, Naira assured him. I shielded his mind during the transfer. He'll remember finding an empty chamber. The Seekers may suspect, but they'll have no proof. She stepped closer to Marcus, her presence sending waves of energy through his body. But we have little time. The bond between us must be strengthened if we're to survive what's coming. What exactly is coming? Instead of answering, Naira placed her hands on either side of his face. The contact sent lightning through his nervous system, and suddenly he was seeing through her eyes, experiencing memories that spanned centuries. He saw massive shapes moving in the void between stars, felt the weight of responsibility placed on Naira and her fellow Watchers, understood the terrible choice they'd made to enter stasis and wait for compatible humans to awaken them. When the vision ended, Marcus staggered, his mind reeling from the download of information. The Void Shapers, they're returning. Naira steadied him, her touch both electric and soothing. Yes, after 50,000 years, they've detected signs of their abandoned experiment reaching fruition. Humanity's development of quantum physics, your first steps toward understanding the true nature of reality, it's drawn their attention. And what happens when they arrive? They'll either harvest humanity for their genetic potential or destroy Earth to prevent another species from claiming their work. Naira's voice carried the weight of certainty. Unless we can awaken humanity's dormant abilities first. That's why the bond between us is so crucial. Through me, you'll learn to access abilities your species wasn't meant to develop for another 1,000 years. As if to demonstrate, she released a pulse of energy that rippled through the cavern. Marcus felt it pass through him, and suddenly the world looked different. He could see the quantum fields binding reality together, could sense the flow of probability and potential in every atom around him. Incredible, he breathed, watching patterns of energy dance between particles of air. This is only the beginning, Naira said. But we must move quickly. The Seekers aren't our only concern. There are others of my kind in stasis chambers around your world, waiting for compatible humans to awaken them. We must find them before. A violent tremor shook the cavern, and alarm signals pulsed through the crystalline walls. Naira's eyes widened in genuine fear. What is it? Marcus asked, already knowing the answer wouldn't be good. A temporal anomaly, she said, rushing to a control panel that materialized from the wall. A massive distortion in space-time, centered in orbit above Earth. Her hands flew over the crystals, and a new hologram appeared, showing a tear opening in the fabric of reality. They're early, she whispered. The Void Shapers, they're already here. Marcus felt her fear and determination flow through their bond. Whatever was coming through that tear in space, whatever ancient horror had returned to claim humanity's potential, he knew their only chance lay in mastering the power growing between them. As if reading his thoughts, and perhaps Naira turned to him with fierce intensity. Are you ready to become something more than human? Marcus met her cosmic gaze with newfound strength. I've spent my life searching for proof we're not alone in the universe. Now that I've found it, I'm not backing down. Naira smiled, and through their bond, Marcus felt a surge of pride and affection. Then let's show the Void Shapers why they should have finished what they started 50,000 years ago. The cavern hummed with power as they began their work, racing against time to unlock the potential hidden in human DNA. Above them, unnoticed by the rest of humanity, reality itself began to tear open, heralding the return of humanity's creators and perhaps its destroyers. Powers unleashed. Marcus stood at the edge of a cliff in the Andes Mountains, his breath visible in the thin air. But he wasn't cold, energy coursed through his body, keeping him warm despite the altitude. 3 weeks of training with Naira had transformed him in ways he still struggled to comprehend. Focus, Naira's voice echoed in his mind. She stood behind him, her iridescent skin glowing brighter in the pre-dawn light. Remember what I taught you about quantum field manipulation. Marcus extended his hand, feeling the fabric of reality bend around his fingers. The air shimmered as he reached into the space between spaces, drawing out strands of pure possibility. With a gesture, he wove them into a bridge of solid light extending over the chasm. Better, Naira said, stepping onto the luminescent structure. But you're still thinking like a human. Don't create what you need, realize that it already exists among the infinite possibilities. Before Marcus could respond, alarms pulsed through their quantum link. Miles below, in a hidden chamber similar to the one where they'd first met, sensors detected movement. The stasis pod they'd come to find was under attack. Seekers, Naira hissed, her cosmic eyes flaring. They're learning to track our energy signatures. Marcus dissolved the light bridge with a thought, already accessing the quantum transportation fields Naira had taught him to manipulate. How many? A full tactical team, she replied, linking her consciousness more deeply with his. And something else. They've brought one of their new weapons. Together, they shifted through quantum space, reappearing inside the ancient chamber just as explosions rocked the entrance. Through the dust and debris, Marcus saw a squad of black-clad soldiers moving with practiced precision. But it was the figure behind them that made his blood run cold. A man in a mechanized suit stood 7 feet tall, his armor crackling with stolen Pleiadian technology. Tubes pumped an iridescent fluid into his body, a crude attempt to replicate the bond Marcus shared with Naira. Dr. Blackwood, the suited figure's voice was distorted by his helmet. I'm Director Walsh of the Stellar Security Initiative. Step away from the alien entity and surrender yourself for debriefing. Marcus felt Naira's recognition pulse through their bond. You know him. He was there when they first imprisoned me. Her mental voice carried centuries of anger. Though he was much younger then, their treatments have kept him alive, but at a terrible cost. Walsh raised his armored hand, energy gathering around his fingers. This doesn't have to end in violence. The being behind you has deceived you. Earth faces real threats, yes, but she and her kind are among them. Interesting theory, Marcus replied, drawing on the quantum energy flowing through his enhanced body. But I've seen the truth in her memories. I know about the Void Shapers and what's really coming for Earth. The Void Shapers are a myth, Walsh spat. A story they tell to manipulate species like ours. Your alien friend belongs to a race of parasites who bond with primitive species, using them as foot soldiers in their wars. Through their connection, Marcus felt Naira's mix of anger and sorrow. The Seekers' ignorance had been carefully cultivated over centuries, their fear twisted into weapon against the very beings trying to save humanity. Show them, Naira whispered in his mind. Show them what we can really do together. Marcus smiled, letting the full power of their bond flow through him. His body began to glow with the same iridescent light as Naira's skin, quantum energy rippling around him in visible waves. The soldiers took involuntary steps backward, their weapons trembling. Director Walsh, Marcus said, his voice resonating with newfound power. Let me demonstrate the difference between your stolen technology and a true Pleiadian bond. He gestured, and reality rippled. The soldiers' weapons dissolved into component atoms, scattering harmlessly into the air. Another wave of his hand created a quantum barrier between them and the stasis pod they'd come to find. Walsh roared in rage and fired a blast of raw energy. Marcus caught it with his bare hand, channeling it through the quantum fields Naira had taught him to manipulate. The chamber filled with blinding light as he redirected the blast into a complex pattern, forming it into a miniature galaxy that spun between them. Impossible, Walsh breathed. The treatments, they never gave us this level of control. Because you tried to take the power by force. Naira stepped forward, her presence making reality itself vibrate in sympathy. The bond cannot be stolen or replicated. It must be freely given and received. A tremor shook the chamber, but this time it wasn't from combat. Deep beneath their feet, the stasis pod they'd come to protect was activating. Through their enhanced senses, Marcus and Naira felt another consciousness stirring, another Pleiadian awakening. Walsh felt it too. His armor's sensors screamed warnings as the chamber's ancient machinery spun to life. "Stop them," he ordered his men. "Use the quantum dampeners." But it was too late. The stasis pod's crystalline surface had already begun to dissolve, revealing another figure within. This one was masculine in form, his skin shifting through shades of deep blue and gold. "Brother," Naira breathed, joy and relief flooding their bond. The awakening Pleiadian's eyes opened, revealing the same cosmic depths as Naira's. His gaze fell on a young soldier who had stepped away from his companions, drawn forward by some instinct he didn't understand. "The compatible one approaches," the Pleiadian's voice echoed through their minds, "just as was foreseen." Walsh raised his weapon again, desperation evident in his movements. "I won't let you corrupt another human. The treatments we developed, they're the safe way, the controlled way." "Your treatments are killing you," Marcus said softly, seeing through quantum-enhanced eyes how Walsh's body was breaking down at the molecular level. "How many of your original team are left? How many died trying to force a power that was meant to be given freely?" Before Walsh could respond, alarms blared from his armor. Above them, satellite feeds showed the temporal anomaly growing larger. The tier in spacetime that heralded the Void Shaper's approach was expanding faster than predicted. Through their bond, Marcus felt Naira's urgency. They needed more awakened pairs, more humans and Pleiadians working in harmony if they hoped to face what was coming. But first, they had to deal with the ones who would stand in their way. "Make your choice, Director," Marcus said, quantum energy swirling around him and Naira. "Help us save humanity, or stand aside while we do what your organization should have been doing all along." Walsh's response was cut off by a burst of static as new readings flooded his armor's sensors. All around the globe, more stasis pods were activating. The time of awakening had begun, and not even the Seekers could stop what was coming. The chamber trembled as ancient machinery hummed to life, and the next phase of humanity's evolution began to unfold. The coming storm. The Singapore skyline shimmered in the pre-dawn light as Marcus and Naira materialized on the roof of a towering skyscraper. In the 3 days since their confrontation with Walsh, the world had changed dramatically. The tier in spacetime now dominated the night sky, visible to everyone on Earth as a writhing purple wound in reality. "They're panicking down there," Marcus observed, sensing the quantum fluctuations of millions of frightened minds below. His abilities had grown exponentially since bonding with Naira, and now he could feel the pulse of humanity's collective consciousness. "Fear makes them vulnerable," Naira said, her iridescent skin rippling with concern. "The Void Shapers will use that fear just as they did on countless worlds before." A flash of golden light announced the arrival of Kazan, the Pleiadian they'd awakened in the Andes, accompanied by James Chen, the former Seeker soldier who'd become his bond mate. They weren't alone. "We found 2 more pairs," James reported, gesturing to the newcomers. A tall African woman named Amara stood beside a silver-skinned Pleiadian called Vex, while a Russian quantum physicist, Dr. Dmitry Volkov, was paired with the copper-hued Pleiadian warrior Lyra. 6 pairs now, Marcus counted, feeling the resonance between them all. "But we need more." "Time grows short," Kazan's deep voice echoed in their minds. "The Void Shaper's advance fleet has already entered the solar system. Their void gates are opening near Mars." Through their enhanced senses, they all felt it, massive ships emerging from tiers in space, each one larger than Earth's largest cities. The vessels defied conventional physics, their surfaces seeming to absorb light rather than reflect it. Director Walsh is mobilizing his forces, James added, his military training evident in his stance. The Seekers are deploying everything they have, but their stolen technology won't be enough. Naira stepped to the edge of the roof, her cosmic eyes fixed on the tier in the sky. We never intended to fight the Void Shapers directly. Our plan was to awaken humanity's potential, to help you transcend their genetic manipulations. Then let's stick to the plan, Amara spoke up, her hand intertwined with Vex's. There are more stasis pods out there, more potential pairs. We can feel them. Marcus nodded, accessing the quantum web that connected them all. Through it, he could sense other dormant Pleiadians calling out and the humans who might awaken them. But he also felt something else, a dark pressure building at the edges of reality. They're scanning Earth, Naira suddenly stiffened. The Void Shapers, they're measuring humanity's development. The air itself seemed to vibrate as an otherworldly presence brushed against their consciousness. It felt ancient and cold, calculating in a way that made even the Pleiadians shudder. A voice echoed through their minds, speaking in concepts rather than words. Genetic sequence Alpha 719 has EXCDDPARAMETRS. HARVSDINGPROTOCOLS initiated. No, Marcus growled, drawing on his connection with Naira to push back against the alien presence. Humanity isn't your experiment anymore. The response was immediate and devastating. A beam of pure darkness lanced down from the tier in the sky, striking the Pacific Ocean. Where it touched, reality itself seemed to unravel. Tidal waves rose as water molecules forgot how to bond with each other. They're destabilizing the quantum field, Dimitri shouted, his scientific knowledge enhanced by his bond with Lyra. If this continues, they'll unwrite the basic forces holding Earth together. Through their shared connection, Marcus felt Naira's desperate plan form. The pods, she broadcast to all of them. We need to awaken them all now, no more waiting for compatibility testing. That could kill the unprepared, Kazan warned. Better than letting the Void Shapers harvest them, James countered, already accessing the quantum transportation fields. Where do we start? Marcus closed his eyes, letting his consciousness expand through the quantum web. He could feel them all, dozens of stasis pods scattered across the planet, each containing a sleeping Pleiadian. And near each one, potential human matches drawn by instincts they didn't understand. We split up, he decided, feeling Naira's approval. Each pair takes a continent, force the awakening if we have to, but try to guide the bonding process. Another beam of darkness struck the Earth, this time in the Sahara Desert. The sand transformed into something that defied physics, spreading like a cancer through the quantum field. Resistance is inefficient, the Void Shapers communicated. Your potential will be HARVSDED and REPURPOSED. Humanity isn't your property, Marcus projected back, channeling power through his bond with Naira. Golden light erupted from his body, forming a shield that protected the city below from quantum destabilization. Around the world, the other pairs took up similar positions. James and Kazan materialized in New York, while Amara and Vex appeared in Cairo. Dimitri and Lyra vanished toward Moscow, their powers already at work. Through their quantum link, Marcus felt Walsh watching from his command center. The director's enhanced senses could perceive what was happening, could see the choice humanity faced, submission to their creators, or evolution beyond anyone's expectations. The Seekers will support you, Walsh's message came through their quantum web. God help me, but I choose humanity's freedom. Above them, the Void Shapers' ships began moving into position around the Earth. More beams of unmaking struck the planet, testing humanity's defenses. But with each attack, more stasis pods activated, more pairs awakened, more humans embraced their hidden potential. Ready? Marcus asked, feeling Naira's presence merge more deeply with his own. Together, she replied, their combined power building to unprecedented levels. We show them why you should never underestimate your own creations. The quantum web hummed with energy as human and Pleiadian consciousness merged across the globe, preparing for a battle that would determine not just Earth's fate, but humanity's very identity. The storm was here, and they would face it as one. Legacy of the stars. The sky above Earth had become a battlefield of impossibilities. Hundreds of human Pleiadian pairs hovered in the atmosphere, their combined powers creating shields of golden light against the Void Shaper's attacks. Each beam of unmaking that struck their defenses sent ripples through the quantum field, testing the limits of their newfound abilities. Marcus and Naira floated at the center of it all, their consciousness expanded to encompass the entire quantum web linking their allies. Through their enhanced perception, they could see the Void Shaper's true form, beings of pure mathematical concept, viewing reality as nothing more than equations to be rewritten. Analysis complete, the alien presence resonated through their minds. Experiment RESULTS exceed acceptable PARAMETERS. Purge PROTOCOLS engaged. The massive ship surrounding Earth began to pulse with dark energy. The tear in spacetime widened, revealing glimpses of a universe where physics itself had been broken and remade to serve the Void Shaper's will. They're going to unmake the entire planet, Dimitri's voice echoed through the quantum web from his position over Moscow. They'll erase Earth from existence rather than let us keep evolving. Not if we show them what that evolution can do, Marcus replied, drawing deeper on his bond with Naira. Their combined consciousness reached out to every paired human and Pleiadian, sharing a desperate plan. Through their connection, Marcus felt Walsh coordinating the Seekers' forces below. The organization had deployed everything they had, using their limited understanding of Pleiadian technology to support the defense. But against beings that could rewrite reality itself, conventional weapons meant nothing. "Remember what you taught me," Marcus sent to Naira as they began gathering power. "Don't create what we need, realize it already exists among infinite possibilities." Yes, Naira's consciousness merged even more deeply with his, and with enough of us working together. "We can choose which possibility becomes real," Marcus finished, understanding flooding through him. The Void Shaper's ships fired as one, sending beams of absolute darkness toward the Earth. But this time, instead of trying to block the attack, the paired defenders did something unprecedented. They opened their minds completely to each other, human and Pleiadian consciousness merging across the quantum web until individual identity became meaningless. Through their unified awareness, they could see reality as the Void Shapers saw it, as an infinite array of mathematical possibilities. But where their creators saw only equations to be solved, they saw the poetry in the numbers, the beauty in the chaos, the fundamental truth that consciousness itself was the greatest force in the universe. "We are what you tried to create," Marcus and Naira spoke as one, their voice carrying the weight of all unified pairs. "But we've become more than you intended." The darkness struck their combined consciousness and met something it had never encountered before: quantum uncertainty made manifest through the power of unified will. Human creativity merged with Pleiadian wisdom, creating a new way of perceiving and manipulating reality. Impossible, the Void Shapers projected. The equations are absolute. "Life isn't just equations," Marcus/Naira responded, their unified consciousness expanding to encompass more possibilities. "It's about choice, free will, the power to decide which reality we want to manifest." Around the Earth, the human Pleiadian pairs began to glow brighter, their combined energy reaching levels that defied measurement. They weren't just blocking the Void Shaper's attack. They were redefining the fundamental nature of existence. Walsh watched from below as golden light engulfed the planet, his enhanced senses barely able to comprehend what he was witnessing. Humanity wasn't just evolving, it was transcending the very boundaries its creators had tried to impose. The Void Shaper's ships began to destabilize as reality itself rejected their presence. Their perfectly ordered universe of mathematical certainty crumbled in the face of something far more powerful: the infinite potential of consciousness united in purpose. Your experiment is over, the unified consciousness of humanity and the Pleiadians declared. Earth is under our protection now. With a final surge of combined will, they pushed back against the darkness. The tear in spacetime began to close, not through force, but through the simple assertion that this was the reality they chose to manifest. The Void Shapers' ships dissolved, their mathematical certainty unable to maintain coherence in a universe that now recognized the power of choice and consciousness. Their presence faded from Earth's space, leaving behind only a simple message. Unexpected outcome, observation continues. As the golden light faded, Marcus and Naira slowly separated their consciousness, though their bond remained stronger than ever. Around the world, other pairs did the same, each forever changed by their experience of total unity. "What happens now?" Walsh asked through their quantum link, his voice heavy with the weight of understanding what humanity had become. Marcus looked at Naira, seeing in her cosmic eyes the same knowledge that filled him. "Now we build something new," he said. "Not just a defense against the Void Shapers, but a new way of existing. Human ingenuity and creativity merged with Pleiadian wisdom and power." "The age of separation is over," Naira added, her voice carrying to all who could hear. "What comes next will be more wonderful and strange than either of our species imagined." Above them, the sky had cleared, revealing stars that seemed somehow brighter than before. Earth had taken its first steps into a larger universe, not as an experiment or a weapon, but as something entirely new, the combined potential of two species who chose to face the future together. Around the world, more humans began to feel the stirring of dormant potential in their genes. The awakening that had started with Marcus and Naira would continue, spreading not through force but through choice and compatibility. "Ready for what comes next?" Naira asked, extending her hand to Marcus as the dawn of a new era broke over the horizon. Marcus took her hand, feeling the infinite possibilities that stretched before them. "Together," he said, speaking for all of humanity as they stepped into their new destiny. "Always together."